And then facilitators will go and think, oh, look how good of a job I'm doing because look, this person came in and was so emotionally dysregulated, and now look, they're cooperating, they're doing what I asked them to do, and we think we're doing a great job. Hi, everybody. Steve Halley here with the Family Peace Initiative, and welcome to the March edition 2024 of the Facilitators Tool Chest blog. In honor of Easter, I want to share with you what Easter looks like in a small town, and I want to apply that to your room and what you're experiencing in your own battery intervention classroom. I have to draw this picture for you of a small town of 2,000 people. It is the county seat, Crawford County. Girard, Kansas is the county seat of Crawford County in southeast Kansas. And every Easter Saturday, there is a giant community Easter egg hunt. It is a big deal, and people come out from everywhere. It is a 1,000 people or more circling the square of the courthouse on the sidewalks, waiting for somebody to blow an air horn so that the kids can go rushing out into the grass and gobble up all these Easter eggs. And I mean, it's quite a big deal for a little bitty town like Girard, Kansas, which is the original home, by the way, of the Family Peace Initiative. Um, so on this particular Easter Saturday, it was me and Dorothy and our three kids. First was our oldest grandchild, Camry. She was probably 6 or 7. And she was all excited about getting, she had her Easter basket and she's all excited about getting some eggs out there in the grass. And Max, our son, was probably 5 or 6 at the time. And he also knew the drill and he loved candy. And so he was ready to go. And so Max and Camry grew up as like brothers and sisters. And so they were there on the sidewalk, ready to go. But then there was our younger granddaughter, Tyler, who was just old enough to know that there was something exciting going on. And she had her little Easter basket and she was ready to go, but she didn't really understand what was happening. And so Dorothy had her by the hand and it was like, okay, Tyler, when they blow the horn, let's go get ourselves some eggs. We're going to go out and get some, and, Grandma Dorothy was just, helping her granddaughter, have great experience on an Easter Saturday. Well, the horn goes off, kids go, whoa, off they go into the grass. And, as dad, I got to mosey up to the fire extinguisher on the corner of the square, the fire hydrant on the corner of the square. And I'm up there with the other dads while we're just kind of staying out of the mayhem. And it was mayhem. The kids are running everywhere. And, it's just fun is being had. And I told the kids that when they get done, just come on and meet me up at the fire hydrant. And eventually, here comes Camry bopping up the sidewalk. And I kind of go, hey, Camry, over here. Grandpa's over here. And Camry comes up. She has a heaping basket full of Easter eggs and candies and sweets. And I reach in, and I go, hey, Camry, let me see. Do you have one of those marshmallow bunnies? I just love those marshmallow bunnies. And, Camry goes, well, yeah, Grandpa. And she gives me one, didn't even blink. And she goes and sits down on the curb and she starts kind of going through her stuff. And I eat this marshmallow bunny and oh, yeah, I love those things melt in your mouth. So here comes Max eventually. And I'm like, hey, Max, over here. And Max comes lumbering up the sidewalk. And I go, hey, did you have a great time? Max, do you have one of those chocolate little Easter eggs? I just love those chocolate Easter eggs. And he looks in his stuff and he's got a lot of stuff. And he pulls out, sure, Dad, here's a Easter egg for you. And he gives me one. Doesn't even blink. Doesn't even blink. He sits down by Camry and they sit down and are just comparing their spoils and looking and just having a great time. Well, finally, here comes Dorothy and Tyler walking up the sidewalk. And I'm like, Tyler, over here. Here's Grandpa over here. And Tyler comes up and I go, hey, Tyler, do you have and I reach into her basket and little, 2-year-old Tyler turns and she goes, no, Grandpa. And she stops me from getting into her Easter basket. And many people, when I tell this story, they talk about, oh, well, she's a little little girl. She hasn't learned how to share yet. And that's not the deal. There was no way that she was going to let me get my hands on the contents of her Easter basket because she only had 3 little eggs that she had found. And she understood at her age that if grandpa gets a hold of one of them, that she's only going to have 2. Whereas Max and Camry's basket was overflowing because they knew the drill. They went out there and they collected all these Easter eggs. Now, I'm telling you this story. If you've stayed listening to this story on this blog for this long, there's a point to this story. Because the type 1 survival base are their hallmark. The way, one of the ways that we identify them is by their complete lack of perceived social supports. It's very much like Tyler and the Easter egg basket with only 3 eggs. Tyler understood if I lose one, I won't have many left. So with the survival base, type 1, right, they understand, many times they've grown up with, the common story is, well, I had my grandmother. She loved me. She was always there for me. She knew that my house was crazy and hell and terrible, and she couldn't fix it, but she loved me and made me feel safe when I was at her house. Right? They can identify this one person or maybe 2 people historically who have been significant emotional supports, Easter eggs in their baskets, right? But then they'll talk about, well, you'll ask them, how's your relationship with your grandmother now? And they go, oh, she died when I was 12. And for the survival-based motive type 1, that's bad. Because when you have that one, Alice Miller calls these our enlightened witnesses, the people who loved us for no reason other than we were us. We didn't have to earn it. We didn't have to deserve it. We didn't have to be just right in order to get that experience. They just saw something in us that maybe we were having trouble seeing in ourselves at the time of our life. And so they talk about, oh yeah, grandma, she died when I was 12, and that's bad. And many times they will go on and tell you, and that's when my life spun out of control. That's when I started drinking. That's when I started using drugs. That's when I went on a rampage. I got kicked out of school. I started causing trouble. Their life spun out of control because they're absent an emotional anchor. And these Easter eggs in the basket, these emotional supports, are a big deal. The survival-based type 1 will have very few of those, and the way to intervene with them is to help them build more emotional supports, to help them build more eggs in their basket so that they have the ability, if they lose an egg, if they lose an emotional support, it might still be painful, but it's not devastating because they have other eggs, much like Camry and Max. It wasn't devastating when they shared one with me because they had plenty of others. If I make a list of all the people who are emotional supports for me in my life, I can make a list pretty long on my arm. I am very, very lucky in that regard. The people who are survival based are not in that circumstance. And so they get in a relationship with their partner, and it feels so good because they finally have a emotional support, somebody who has their back, somebody who will support them. But they live in constant fear. What if I lose that egg? Then my basket will be empty again. And that's a problem. And so they live in this constant, dilemma of, oh, I've never felt better in my life than in this relationship with this person. But at the same time, I'm always afraid if they go out, they're going to meet somebody better than me. It's just a matter of time before they leave me. And when they do, I'll have an empty basket again. And I don't ever want to go back there again. And so the survival base become extremely dangerous when they feel that their last egg in their basket is walking out the door. And you hear the conversations about the flipping of the switch, right? Where they go from desperately trying to hang on to the relationship to moving to destruction, right? I will destroy you. I will sabotage your job. I will kill you. I'll kill myself. I will do horrible, horrible things because I never want to go back to an empty basket again. Right? And so when we're intervening with them, we're working to become an emotional support to them. We want the group to become an emotional support to them. We want to connect them with churches, with activities, with things that will help them build more emotional support so that their partner doesn't have to bear the weight of the whole dependency, because that's a problem and it's a recipe for disaster, and that's in your room. And I tell you all that on this Easter month coming up, to let you know that if we paint everybody, if they're entitled, then you're missing the target with the survival base. Now, they might have entitlement beliefs, don't get me wrong, but they also are highly dependent and terrified of losing their relationship. And when they start losing that relationship, they kick into a desperation and rage that is the hallmark of the survival-based type 1. It's not the hallmark of the entitlement motive, which is really kind of, well, if I lose her, I'll just get another one. Women are interchangeable as long as my needs are being met. All right. So I want you to know that these are in your room. People are sitting in there right now. And if you don't know that they're there, it's very easy to miss the mark and offer interventions for them that are not necessarily what is going to be helpful to help them be safe. One more thing about the survival-based type 1 is that when their relationship is going haywire, they are emotionally erratic. But when they're or if they get in a new relationship, they will become emotionally stabilized. And then facilitators will go and think, oh, look how good of a job I'm doing, because look, this person came in and was so emotionally dysregulated, and now look, they're cooperating, they're doing what I asked them to do, and we think we're doing a great job. When in reality, what's happening is that their relationship life has stabilized. And just watch for when that relationship becomes destabilized again, because the people who are survival-based will again go into an emotional erratic space unless we do something to help them with emotional expression, to help them with perceived social supports, and the like. So there you go. There's a type 1 of the survival-based, and I hope that you have a fabulous Easter. And I will look forward to making another one of these next month. And I hope you have tons of Easter eggs in your basket and tons of emotional supports in your life, because they are valuable. See you guys again soon. Bye-bye.